Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Friday, November 14th. Ian Cameron and Matt Robinson in the house, ready to break down this Friday NHL card. We've got 4 games on tap, and one of them is about to start. So we will do the recap as we often do. Usually we do it at the beginning of the show. We will get to the Thursday recap in just a bit, but we're going to start actually and talk about this game because it's just about to start. I actually meant to talk about this game at the end of yesterday's show, but forgot to. So we'll get to this right now. This game is part of the NHL Global Series in Sweden. Pittsburgh, Nashville, they'll play in just a few minutes, and then they will play again on Sunday at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, 6 a.m. out there on the West Coast where Matt is, if he wants to watch Pittsburgh, Nashville on Sunday morning over in Sweden. But we got Pittsburgh minus 130 favorites here, 6 the total in this game. These are all small bets. You know, it's a standalone game, have a little action on it. A little Pittsburgh money line and team total over 3 at minus 140. I split between those two, and a little bit on the first period over here as well in this game. It's, you know, overseas. You could see it maybe being a little bit chaotic early in the first 20 minutes, maybe some lapses defensively, a little more adrenaline and excitement, you know, taking the ice. Maybe we get, you know, a couple of goals at least in the opening period. Pittsburgh's actually been kind of trending to the first period over in recent games, and Nashville, each of their last 2 games has gone over largely because their defensive play has struggled, and really it's struggled ever since Roman Josi went out due to injury. So I think Pittsburgh is the side here, but first period over is probably my favorite bet in this game. I think we could see a couple of goals early. UC Saros and Artur Shilovs confirmed as the starting goaltenders for this game. And I wanted to get to the props too, because I like some of these props. Obviously, we've got only 3 players from Sweden on these 2 teams combined. Erik Karlsson, Philip Forsberg, and Wilsby, the defenseman for Nashville, is also from Sweden. Other than that, there's no other Swedes on either of these 2 teams. So that's kind of surprising. Usually we have more than that representing these the 2 teams when they play in the Global Series, but not the case this year. I'm going to take a shot with one of those 3 Swedish players participating in these 2 games over there with Pittsburgh and Nashville. Erik Karlsson, I got him as good as plus 460 for him to find the back of the net here in this game. So I took a shot with Erik Karlsson for Pittsburgh, plus 460. A couple of players facing their old team in this game. Michael Bunting for Nashville against his old team. He played for Pittsburgh for a bit, plus 440. And Bunting has a history of scoring against his former teams. So I like that shot there with Bunting at plus 440. Thomas Novak for the Pittsburgh Penguins, who, of course, used to be with the Nashville Predators. Thomas Novak to score, plus 470. And Tommy Novak scored in the last game for Pittsburgh. He had been in a bit of a goal-scoring drought. He scored in the last game. So I think Thomas Novak at that price is worth a shot, plus 470. Kindle, plus 240. And then I'm riding the hot hand with the first-round pick, who's been really good. He had a hat trick in his last game. He's got 6 goals and 9 points in the last 7 games for Nashville. Wood is good. Matthew Wood for the Nashville Predators, plus 360 for him to find the back of the net. So those are the props I'm on here for this game that's just about to start here this afternoon. Matt, anything for you? Pittsburgh, Nashville over in Sweden.
Yeah. So I did jump on the over at 6 yesterday. I actually kind of briefly talked to you about it, but, you know, it's not my favorite pick, and I do remember watching Florida and Dallas last year in Finland. And it was sort of a quick start, and then it slowed down a bit. It's obviously a weird environment. You know, I know they go over a few days early, so like the time zone, it's not like they flew in last night and are playing. So that shouldn't be a huge factor. But it is just kind of a different environment, you know, different fan base. You know, the crowds are a little bit different over there, obviously, more like a, you know, European football match. You know, they're singing. It's just a different environment. So it's not something I love. I'm not, you know, it's not my best bet by any stretch, even though we've got a pretty small card. But I took a shot with the over, and then I agree with you. I do like the first period over. I think both teams want to get going. So I jumped on a little Matty Rob special at 1.5, 5.5 plus 120 on MGM this morning, just to have a little action on it. I'm excited. It's 11 a.m. my time. I'll be wrapping up the workday after this, and I can watch a little NHL hockey. So always a cool event, always something I enjoy watching. Not a huge bet spot just because I think it's, you can't really look at trends. You can't really look at the season. It's kind of a new bet. So it's kind of what you're feeling that day and just kind of roll with your guts. So I'm just going to stick to the basics and go over bifecta in a sense, but really the Matty Rob special. And then I've got a bet on over 6 as well that hopefully will cash.
There we go. Good stuff. Looking forward to it. I've got it on in front of me here. I've had college basketball on all afternoon, most of the week while doing these shows. There's been some college basketball in the afternoon. Nice to have some hockey while we're doing the show here on a Friday afternoon. But yeah, that game is, again, just about to get underway. They're just doing the pregame intros right now with introducing the players on the ice there in Stockholm. So again, looking forward to that. Yeah, Philip Forsberg, first goal, plus 900. Hey, the most likely of the 3 Swedes participating in this hockey game to score, especially score the first goal, would be Philip Forsberg. So, why not a little sprinkle there, plus 1,200 at Fanatics. So again, shop around, a little bit better prices out there with some of those props. So again, that's always why you should have multiple books. All right, that game about to begin. If there's any updates, we'll keep you appraised of them as we go along here throughout the show. But we'll now go back and look at last night. And other than a downer of a best bet selection on my part with Washington, which didn't pan out, other than that, it was a really good night otherwise. A lot of the looks came through. The best over streak in hockey continued, 13 straight for the Toronto Maple Leafs now over the total. It's been a long time since I've seen something like this, where one team's games have gone over 13 straight times. And now we have seen that with the Toronto Maple Leafs, another over last night for them. They lose 4-3 in overtime to the Los Angeles Kings. Here's the problem with the Leafs last night. They were way too focused on their defensive zone. I know they're trying to work on that and get better in that area, and that's where the problems have been. But it's almost like they overcompensated for it. Like they're just so focused on being tight defensively last night that in the second and the third period, after they got out to that 2-0 lead, they stopped attacking. They didn't have much time at all in the LA zone the rest of the game. And it's almost like, so that's the problem, right? It's a confidence issue with this team. It's like, oh, we know the coach is mad about our defensive game. We know we're struggling in our own zone. So let's just make sure we focus entirely on keeping the puck out of the net and then focus again on scoring. And after that 2-0 lead, they pretty much didn't have much as far as offensive zone time, any significant big-time pressure in the LA zone. And eventually the Kings, and I feel bad for the Dennis Hildeby. I thought he played a pretty solid game, but he's just facing a ton of rubber. And, the Leafs were outshot 27-11 in the last 2 periods combined, 37-15 Kings in terms of shots on goal for the game. And it just felt like a matter of time before the Kings were going to find a way, and find a way they did. They ended up getting the overtime winner, Quinton Byfield, close to home. He's a Toronto area boy, gets the overtime winner, and the Kings get a 4-3 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. And, they get a point out of it. I guess that's, a bit of a moral victory at this point. But, when you have a 2-0 lead after the first period, I thought they played a terrific first period, where they were aggressive offensively, but very good defensively too. And it's almost like they kind of lost that. They got the lead, and it's like, okay, everything's got to be defensively the focus. And that's kind of where they let LA into the game. You just can't stop attacking in this league anymore, even with a 2-goal lead. Sometimes you're going to pay the price for that. And certainly the Leafs did that last night. Just were way too passive in the last 2 periods of that game. The Ottawa Senators 5-3 win against Boston as they snap Boston's 7-game win streak. We did lose with Boston here, but we did have the over bifecta, and both legs of that came through. It was a very solid performance from the Senators. Shane Parlay Pinto kind of figured he might get on the board after signing that new lucrative contract, and he sure did. So nice job there by Ottawa to bounce back and snap Boston's win streak. Detroit Red Wings, we were all over this. I didn't bet Detroit, but I knew to stay the hell away from Anaheim in this spot. Detroit off since Sunday. They had lost a couple in a row. They got some 2 good practices in with Todd McClellan this week to try to fix what's wrong, and they played certainly a better game, and the offense that was sputtering came to life. 6 goals last night for Detroit, and they beat Anaheim 6-3. We split the over bifecta in this game, scoreless after the first period, and yet the game still flew over the total with room to spare as the goals became flying early and often in the second and the third period of that game. And Detroit gets a 6-3 win against Anaheim. 2 straight losses now for Anaheim. We'll see. Is this the beginning of a little swoon for them and slump after such a red-hot start? We'll have to wait and see. They're in Minnesota on Saturday. What else did we see? How about the Dallas Stars? Matty Rob's Dallas Stars, 7-0. Thumping of the Montreal Canadiens. That's 2 horrendous performances on home ice this week for the Montreal Canadiens. Outscored 12-1 in 2 losses at home to Dallas and Los Angeles this week. So real tough back-to-back on home ice for the Montreal Canadiens. Shut out last night by the Dallas Stars. Everyone got in on the act. Jason Robertson with a couple of goals. And when you're seeing the Alex Petrovics and Colin Blackwells and Esa Lindells of the world scoring goals for Dallas too, it's been a pretty good night. And like I said, 7-0. I thought Casey DeSmith was pretty good. He did have to face a couple of really good looks, but it was a good defensive effort from the team in front of him as well on the road. And Dallas with a nice 7-0 win there against the Montreal Canadiens. Like I said, I like the spot for Washington. Florida hadn't shown me that they could win back-to-back games, but give Florida credit. Coming off the road trip, 6-3 win last night against the Washington Capitals. Not one of Logan Thompson's better nights. I thought he was a little bit off his game. And the Washington team, after the good first period they had, it wasn't, they had their chances. You do have to give Tarasov credit. That was probably one of his better games, too, that he's had. And finally gets his first win as a starting goaltender for the Florida Panthers with that 6-3 win against Washington. Columbus and Edmonton, boy, oh boy. Columbus 5-4 victory in that game. I had a piece of the Jackets. Boy, were they hanging on for dear life at the end, but hang on they did for that 5-4 win. We also had the full game over, so this game ended up working out all right for me. And best bet on the show from David yesterday was Columbus, so that he cashes that, which is great to see. Jackets get a 5-4 win over the Oilers. Much needed for the Jackets. That was not a great road trip for them to get that 5-4 win against Edmonton, hang on at the end. And that was a nice job by the Jackets to get that win. San Jose Sharks, look, they laid an egg, and they're very fortunate it was only 2-0 Calgary. They just didn't feel like they had much. They didn't feel like they had any legs last night. And, you got to give Calgary credit. They defended well. They checked well. But, again, they only had 1 shot after the first period, 7 shots after the first 2 periods. So San Jose ends up having their win streak snapped by Calgary 2-0, a nice 17-save shutout for Dustin Wolf last night in that game. Just didn't feel like they had their legs. But you also have to give Calgary credit. Like, they controlled the play pretty much start to finish, and San Jose with the 2-0 loss to snap their win streak snapped in that game. And Matt Robinson's fellow Plano, Texas man, Blake Coleman, getting the first goal, which ended up being the game-winning goal for the Calgary Flames in that game. Colorado keeps the Buffalo woes going, although we had a good read on this game. We had a great read on this game. We had the over 6.5. We had Colorado team total over 4. And we also had Buffalo to score in the first period, and they did one better than that. They scored 2 goals in the first period, but I felt Buffalo was going to come out hard, come out strong after the bad game against Utah. They did, and then they just kind of ran out of steam as the game went on. And not to mention, it's just difficult for Buffalo right now with the injuries and their lackluster blue line. And to be honest with you, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen just doesn't cut it for me. He doesn't. We've given this guy a lot of chances to show he's an NHL caliber goalie, and he keeps being unable to show it really on a consistent basis. Colorado with a 6-3 win there as the Buffalo struggles continue. They still have not won a road game yet this year, the Buffalo Sabres. So still winless on the road. The Seattle Kraken, this really pissed me off because I thought Winnipeg, 3-2 going into the third period. Seattle had been struggling to score goals. That was not a good third period from Winnipeg, and this has not been a good road trip. And even the one win against Vancouver, I don't think they played great. So there's problems with the Winnipeg Jets right now. I don't think the last week or so of hockey from them has been all that impressive to me. 5-3, you're letting Seattle, who's had trouble to score goals against, come back from multiple deficits in that game. So really bad job there by the Winnipeg Jets, but give the Kraken credit. Got their offense rolling. Schwartz, Eberle, and a 5-3 win for them against Winnipeg. And then the New York Islanders. I thought Vegas was just overpriced. I mean, I certainly expected Vegas to give you a pretty good effort trying to snap their losing streak, but the Islanders had some momentum, couple wins in a row. Ilya Sorokin playing some better hockey in net, and the Islanders found a way, and the Vegas struggles continue. I know Matt Robinson's not going to shed many tears regarding any struggles involving the Vegas Golden Knights, but the New York Islanders get a 4-3 overtime win against the Vegas Golden Knights last night. Matthew Schaefer with an absolute cannon of a shot on the power play in the first period, which gave them a 2-0 lead, which also cashed the first period over in that game, in the Isles and Vegas game, which I took. Even though Vegas's first period over trends have cooled off a little bit, figured last night might have been a good night to take a shot with it, and it was the Islanders, cashing that first period over first. So that was a great game. I had first period over, and I had the Islanders at that big plus 170 price, and able to cash a big underdog plus price winner with the New York Islanders, and that's a very disappointing homestand for the Vegas Golden Knights, and shocking to see some of the teams, Vegas included, that would not be in the playoffs if the season ended today. You got teams like Tampa Bay, Florida, Edmonton, Vegas that would not make the Stanley Cup playoffs if the season ended today. Now, it is November 14th. It's a long way to go, but pretty fascinating to see just how many of last year's playoff teams have gotten off to slow and sluggish, uninspiring starts to the new season. Matt, your thoughts on what we saw Thursday night, and how did it go for you?
Yeah, Thursday was a good night for me. Overall, I didn't have too much action last night. It's just been kind of a crazy work week, and we've got games this weekend against Dallas. So I had some buddies in town that I met up for a couple beers. So we watched the Stars game, which was awesome. Being with some hometown friends and watching them, going to Montreal and shit kick the Canadians. I was just actually looking while you were going through the games. Like, we talked about it pre-show, all 6 defensemen with points, but there was only 3 forwards without a point. So if you took 18 point props yesterday before the game, you would have hit 15 of them. So pretty crazy to see. Obviously that's really the first sort of dominating game Dallas has played, all season, outside of portions of that Winnipeg and Colorado games to start the year where they took a lead and then they kind of let teams back in. I think they've got points in like 11 of their last 13, but they've been 1-goal games, overtime wins, things like that. So I think it was good to see them kind of put their foot down. I know Jamie Benn was on the trip, obviously still a ways out from playing, but I really do think, him being on the plane, him being at dinners, having him back with the guys is a little bit of a boost. And I know guys know he wants to get back in the lineup. So you always want to play hard for a guy like that. But yeah, overall throughout the card, I did have some other plays. My 2 premium plays on Wizard Sports Picks. I had the over in that Ducks and Wings game, which soared over the total. And then I had the over in the Boston-Ottawa game, which wasn't much of a sweat either. So both premium plays cashed, put me at a 28-10 run in NHL right now on premium picks. So
actually, that one did kind of feel like a sweat for a bit, Boston, because I had that full game over Boston-Ottawa too. It was only 2-1 going into the third period. But yeah, the floodgates opened in the third.
Floodgates opened early.
Quickly was not a sweat in the third period.
Yeah, I think it was like 3 minutes in, we were at 6, and then a minute later, we got to 7, and then it kind of just rolled from there. But yeah, overall, good night. I did watch a little bit of that Sharks game late because I get that local channel on YouTube TV. So I saw Coleman's goal, which was good to see. And honestly, to your point, it could have been a lot worse. Askarov played a really solid game, especially on the road, facing 36 shots. He gave San Jose a chance to win. It was just a dead spot for San Jose. I mean, they're a young team. They've been hot. I don't think anyone's picking them to win the cup this year. I think everyone's more afraid of them, 2-3 years down the line. But usually when you're a young team like that, you get on a roll, you're going to lay an egg every once in a while. I feel like some of the more Stanley Cup contender, veteran teams, you don't get an egg as often, but you get a little more consistency, a little less highs, a little less lows. With a team like San Jose, they could play. I don't know who they play Saturday night. Seattle, it looks like, so they could, go into Seattle and win 7-1, and it wouldn't shock me one bit. So, when you get those young teams, you get a lot of up and down. But yeah, overall, solid night. You mentioned Vegas losing, you mentioned Winnipeg losing. Obviously, those are always nice, nice as a Stars fan. But the other, got to give you a shout out to one of the guys on my team had a parlay going last night with Edmonton and Colorado. And after watching the show, I was like, I'm not on Columbus, but Ian's on Columbus, and I'd be weary. It's kind of a shit spot for Edmonton. Oh no, you don't know shit, Matt. Whatever. And so I enjoyed shooting him a text after that 5-4.
How'd you like that Jackets win? Yeah.
Yeah. So I sent him a meme of just like I think it was Sillinger in a Blue Jackets jersey celebrating or something, and he was just like, F off. I should have listened, but yeah, overall good card. I mean, really outside of that San Jose Calgary game, I think every over hit. So obviously those Thursdays that we see a lot of overaction, at least on the full game over. I know even the Stars missed the first period over. But any night that we're getting, 9 goals, 7 goals, 7, 8, it's usually a good night for you and I. So overall, a solid night, couple good games on tonight, and then big Saturday card tomorrow. So looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah, no question. Looking forward to tomorrow's card's really good, but we do have 3 games tonight, and we will get into those right now and begin with Vancouver and Carolina. Carolina minus 260, home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. Carolina Hurricanes off a home loss to the Washington Capitals, and it was a spot where I cashed a ticket with Washington as an underdog. It was just a nice situation with Carolina playing a lot of games. Figured that could have been a spot for the schedule to kind of catch up to them a little bit, and it did. I don't think they played their best game or their most fluid game by any stretch against the Capitals the other night, but now they're in bounce-back mode coming off that loss to the Caps. 2 days off as well, which is good to see, and you face a Vancouver Canucks team that's off back-to-back home losses, losing 3 of 4 on that homestand to Chicago, Colorado, and Winnipeg, the only victory coming against Columbus by a score of 4-3. And now they hit the road, and they hit the road with a lot of injury concerns, without question. Thatcher Demko, who just came back, gets re-injured, of course, during the homestand, lower body injury, timetable for his absence currently uncertain. Quinn Hughes for the Vancouver Canucks, game time decision, it looks like, for this game against Carolina. It looks like he avoided a significant longer-term injury going into this game. But again, his status for tonight's game, though, is still up in the air, whether Quinn Hughes will be on the ice or not. And then status quo, everybody that's been out remains out. Hedel, Bluger, and others. On the Carolina side, their blue line is slowly getting a bit healthier. Keandre Miller recently returned. Shane Gostisbehere is also back on that blue line now. Still missing Jalen Chatfield. Charles Alexis Legault, who was really only in there because of the injuries anyway, but he's out on the IR. Jalen Chatfield and Jacob Slavin, of course, the big one, still out for the Carolina Hurricanes. And Freddie Anderson, day-to-day, we know he took that shot against Washington the other night. That's what got that scrum going, and he had to leave the game due to potential head trauma. We'll have to concussion spotter, pulled him out of the game, and now they're just being very precautious with him. Pyotr Kochetkov finished that game. And as of now, it's looking like we might see Pyotr Kochetkov tonight in net for the Carolina Hurricanes, just as a way to give Freddie Anderson as much time. And they, believe me, with his injury history, it's a rap sheet how long that injury list, history list is for Freddie Anderson at this point. I think it makes sense for Carolina not to rush him right back into the lineup, given what happened the other night. So we probably will see Kochetkov in net for Carolina. Kevin Lankinen has already been confirmed in net for the Vancouver Canucks. Of course, Lankinen was very good for them on the road last year. Remember how well he played away from home. This year, it's been a little bit more up and down. His numbers haven't been as good. 3-5 record, 3.56 goals against average, .885 save percentage for Kevin Lankinen on the season. So hasn't been nearly as sharp or on top of things as he was last year. For this game, I've got two bets. I've got Carolina team total over 3.5. When you look at this Vancouver Canucks team, the major issue they have had lately is goals allowed. Way too many goals being given up by this Canucks team. 5, 4, 5, 3, 5, and 5. So basically they've given up 5 goals in 4 of their last 6 games. They've given up 4 goals or more in 5 of their last 6 games. So this has definitely been a team that struggled to keep the puck out of their net. And you would think Carolina off the loss to Washington, good chance to bounce back. They've been good off losses. They've been obviously very good at home. Does feel like they win this game, but I want no part of minus 260, obviously. But I think the team total over is the way to go. And often when I like a bigger favorite, that is the approach I'll take. So you can get over 3.5, minus 136 at FanDuel. Looks like the best price with Carolina team total over. I like that. I also like this full game over 6.5. We've talked about others' value right now. David, who was on our show yesterday, our Thursday guest, who's from Raleigh, North Kakalaki, big Canes fan, goes to many of the home games. He said it. They're playing a different style. They're playing a different pace. They're trying to overcompensate for the injuries on the blue line by trying to score, I think, more goals, Carolina. And we've definitely seen them play that way. So, like I said, we're going to go over 6.5. Not the first period over pregame, because I want to see if I can get maybe a better price with that than what's out there now. But I definitely like the full game over 6.5 pregame, and Carolina Hurricanes team total over 3.5 here as well. What do you think here, Matt? Vancouver, Carolina.
Yeah, pretty aligned with you. I definitely lean Carolina here. And I know it's not officially announced on Quinn Hughes, is what you were saying. It's still
game
possible, but
yeah.
I feel like with where Vancouver's at, I'd be shocked if he plays in this road game, unless he's really good to go. I mean, it's early in the season. He's, your captain. He's a franchise guy. So you don't want to rush it at this point in the year, in my opinion. But, I obviously don't know where he's at. But I do love Carolina team total over 3.5. That was one I had pre-show. And then I like the over here. I'd like it a little more at 6. So I think I'm going to same game parlay it, grab it over 1.5, over 5.5. Hopefully Carolina comes out at home, gets a couple, 2-0, 2-1 after the first, and then we'll have no problem getting to 6. So I think that's how I'm going to play this one. Not a lot of props in this one either. But yeah, I think that'll be my 2 plays on this game pregame. And then this is a game that, if it does have some pace to it and you get a few minutes in, it might be worth a live shot, because you might be able to grab a 6 or 5.5 on that total. All
right, good stuff. As far as props for this game, I know David, and he knows the Canes as good as anybody. He really thinks it's Jackson Blake night tonight. He could make some impact here in this game offensively, saying he's been flying lately. He's had his chances. So if you believe in that, maybe you look to Jackson Blake. Jake DeBruska's on a 3-game goal streak. Kiefer Sherwood on a 2-game goal streak for Vancouver. He continues to have a great year for them. What would they do without Kiefer Sherwood? I mean, that's not something you would have thought you'd be saying on November 14th. What would the Canucks do without Kiefer Sherwood this season? But here we are. That's how good of a season he's had offensively for this team. But those are definitely some props I would look at here in this game. I'll heed what David's saying about Blake, maybe look in that direction. As far as a prop on that side of things. Not to mention, Stankoven did have a 2-point game in Toronto, and he's obviously had a pretty solid year so far to this point for the Hurricanes. Maybe go toward Mr. Stankoven here as well. All right, Philadelphia and St. Louis. We've got St. Louis minus 140 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. You got the Flyers off 8. That was I know they got that game to overtime, but they were outplayed really from the first period onward. I thought Philly had a good start against Edmonton, but boy, Edmonton was really territorially dominant in the last 2 periods. And Philadelphia, I think at the end of the day, will be happy they got a point out of that game, even though they lost 2-1 to the Edmonton Oilers. Maybe it's a good thing they're going back on the road, because after a red-hot start at home this season, the Philadelphia Flyers, they have lost 4 straight on home ice to Toronto, Calgary, Ottawa, and Edmonton. So maybe it is a good thing for the Flyers to maybe going on the road a little bit here in this game to try to get off the schneid. St. Louis is coming off a 3-2 win against Calgary, bouncing back from a 4-3 overtime loss at home to the Seattle Kraken. But again, this team, stringing wins together has been a problem for the St. Louis Blues. They have only won 2 games in a row, one single time this year, and that was October 11th and October 13th when they went back-to-back with road wins at Calgary and Vancouver. Since then, this team has not won 2 games in a row. This is still not a team I'm comfortable laying minus 140 with here in this game. I actually think the Flyers might be worth a sprinkle here at plus 120. I haven't bet it yet, but I'm certainly leaning in that direction. And I love this draw, and I'm not alone. We'll get to that in the best bet segment, but he sent me his plays for today, Alex, even though he's not on the show today. He's right in lockstep with me on this draw with the Flyers and the Blues. How can you not be looking in that direction as far as this game going past regulation when you look at East versus West? Again, it's a situation where both of these teams aren't going to care if the other team gets a point. Philly's gone past regulation in 3 of their last 4 games. St. Louis has now played back-to-back 1-goal games entering tonight. We've seen 2 of the last 3 meetings between these teams go past regulation. The game in St. Louis last year was an overtime game, a 3-2 win for the Flyers. So, yeah, leaning Flyers. I'm probably going to sprinkle on the Flyers as a dog, and I like this draw here as well. Not Alex. I got Alex on the brain now because we're talking about the draw. Matt, what do you think here? Flyers, Blues.
Yeah, it's a rare 5.5 that I don't really love the total. I mean, neither of these teams are scoring at will. Don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean I'm jumping on the under. You know, you still have both goalies in St. Louis are averaging over 3 goals a game, with Hofer averaging 4 goals a game. You know, Vlader's played all right for Philly, but, you know, it's up and down with the Flyers. I feel like, you know, could they win this game, 4-2 and the over cashes? Sure. But I'm kind of with you. I do kind of like the Flyers here as a road dog. I'm looking ahead to Saturday's card. I know who they play tomorrow night, so I would love Philly to get a win tonight, head home feeling good about themselves, head south feeling good about themselves, and then, have a team that I like kind of roll the table tomorrow night.
You can say it. Just having Dallas fist bump them. The Flyers feeling good after a win tonight. You can say it.
Well, and we talked about it the other night.
Say what you feel on this show, how you feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it in the group last night. I mean, especially if Philly comes through with a win tonight, the Stars team total looks like a good look for tomorrow, just given their offense is obviously starting to heat up a little bit, so they'll be happy to get home. But anyway, back to today's show. I think I'll take a shot with you on Flyers money line here, just given the price point. But yeah, not really. I don't think I have any props on this game. I don't have a totals bet. The first period could be 0-0 or it could be 3-1. I don't really have a grasp on this one. So I'll take a shot at the Flyers given the price. I think they, have had a solid start to the year, and St. Louis just, hasn't, for lack of a better term. I mean, they've had flashes of okay play in a couple of games, but overall it's just been kind of a shit show there. So give me the Flyers money line here, and that'll be my only play on this one.
Yeah, as far as props in this game, we're gonna ride the Mishkov Express here. 3 straight games with a goal, heating up after a bit of a slow start. Holloway, Jonathan, right on the money with that. I think Dylan Holloway rather worth a look as well for finding the back of the net here in this game. So another guy that had a slow start to this season, but again, he now has gotten goals in back-to-back games. So I like that. The 2 streaking goal scorers here, Mishkov for the Flyers and Dylan Holloway for the St. Louis Blues as far as this game goes. Another thing I wanted to mention here with the Flyers is it looks like the Bobby Brink experiment on the top line looks like it's done. He's back down on the third line entering tonight. The only other bet I would consider right now for prop tonight might be Dvorsky for St. Louis. He's been dangerous for the St. Louis Blues most of the times I've been seeing them play lately. So that might be something to look at. Sam Ersson is confirmed in net, by the way, for the Flyers. And I know he's struggled early in the season. He hasn't been great. The record is what? 2-1, believe it or not, with him. Is 2-1-2, 2-3, I should say, is his record. 3.03 goals against, .866 save percentage. I don't mind starting him. Dan Vladar's been good, but you haven't all necessarily been winning with Vladar, the last few times either. So I don't mind them giving Sam Ersson a look here in this game. Like I said, I'm going to end up probably on the Flyers for a little something at plus 120. This is just lack of trust in the Blues winning 2 in a row and priced like this at the moment. And it hurts me to say that because I was so bullish on this team coming into the season, but obviously not gotten off to the first month start that I thought they would. All right, New York Islanders, Utah Mammoth, our final game of this Friday slate. We've got the Islanders. Looks like they're in that plus 170, plus 180 underdog price range here in this game. Yeah, plus 170. Utah 200 minus 210 home favorites. The total here sitting at 6.5 across the board in this one. Tough spot, right? I mean, altitude, thin air, elevation, all that coming off the win against Vegas last night, which went past regulation, went to overtime with the Islanders. How about the fact it was a J.G. Pajot shorthanded goal, giving them that 4-3 win last night against the Vegas Golden Knights. Great win for the Islanders. That's now 3 wins in a row for them. I'm tempted to ride the streaks. I mean, I took the Islanders as a big dog last night, and I wouldn't be betting against them here, but this is admittedly not an easy scheduling spot. You go from Vegas last night to Utah tonight, back to back in the elevation. Utah rested, and Utah playing very good hockey on home ice. Utah 5-1 at home this year at the Delta Center, 5-2 win against Buffalo in their last game, returning home from that road trip where they struggled, and they got back on track with that 5-2 win. Like I said, they've won 5 of 6 home games this year. Not sure I'm trusting the Utah or the New York Islanders to go in there and win. Now, the Islanders did win in Utah last year 2-1, but I'd have to go back and look. Was that a back-to-back or not, though? Because if it's not a back-to-back, then that tells you that that was not the same, bit of a tricky schedule. No, that was not a back-to-back. See, last year when they won at Utah 2-1, the Islanders played in Vegas January 9th. They played in Utah January 11th. So they got a day off between games. They don't have that here. It's a back-to-back in this game for the New York Islanders. So that's the thing that's going to keep me off the Islanders. I don't love this situation. This is another draw sprinkle for me, but just smaller. I like the draw in the Blues Flyers game more than I like this one. And with David Riddick confirmed in net for the Islanders, which is not a surprise because Sorokin got the game last night. You figured they were not going to put him in back-to-back. We should see Vejmelka in net here for the for the Utah Mammoth. He had a better game against Buffalo the other night. Riddick for the Islanders. He does have a winning record, 3-2, but the numbers aren't great. 3.41 goals against average, 886 save percentage. He has allowed 13 goals in his last 3 starts. He did start off well, 2 goals allowed to Edmonton, 2 goals allowed to Detroit in his first 2 starts, but 13 allowed in the last 3 games here for David Riddick. So not nearly as good in his last few starts, which is what we expect because I don't trust David Riddick to be good for an indefinite period of time. That's why he's been a journeyman backup goalie and bounced around from team to team all these years. So this is another one where as far as the over, I like it at 6.5. I will bet that pregame. And much like the Vancouver game we talked about, might wait for a little bit of a better price in period with the first period over with this Islanders and Mammoth game. But I like the full game over more than I like the first period over anyway, because part of the handicap for me is I want the latter part of the game to be part of the over handicap, because that's when the legs give out for the Islanders a little bit on the back-to-back, and that's when your mental and physical fatigue could take over, and that can result in those defensive lapses that could turn this game into a eruption offensively later in the game. So over 6.5 pregame, just a tiny dabble on the draw for me as well. Matt, what do you think here? Final game, New York Islanders, Utah Mammoth.
Yeah, I'm on the full game over as well in this one. Again, I mentioned it early in the show, like not a ton going on with just 3 games. The Islanders have been good to me on overs. I know they're coming into this game on a back-to-back, but it's not like they're traveling across the country, so I still like that angle. Utah at home, I think they'll try and pop a few as well. So I'll just keep it simple on this one. Just take the over. If you don't like the 6.5 and you want a little more safety net, wait a couple minutes and try and grab it at 6. But overall, yeah, that's really the only play for me here.
Yeah, still 12-5 to the over on the season, the New York Islanders. So, yeah, they've had a few unders lately. It hasn't been, every game going over the total like it did to start the year, but still 12-5 to the over on the season in New York Islanders games. And Utah, 4 straight Utah Mammoth games have gone over the total entering tonight, 5-3, 6-2, 4-2, 5-2. So Utah on a 4-game over the total streak going into this game tonight. So both of us liking the full game over a little bit. Prop-wise for me in this game, I mean, my goodness, we're riding. I mean, Emil Heineman, if you haven't been paying attention, how many times we've been betting Emil Heineman goal props for the New York Islanders, and this guy just continues to deliver the goods. And to give Patrick Waugh credit, he had the wherewithal to stick him there with Horvat and Palmieri on the top line, and he keeps in producing for this team at a pretty good clip. Scored again last night, got the first goal of the game against Vegas. He's scored now 2 goals in the last 4 games. He's up to 7 goals on the season for the Islanders, and most of them have been with him on that top line. So, yeah, we're running it back with Emil Heineman for the New York Islanders here in this game tonight. Well worth a look. Holmstrom on the second line. There's probably a little value there. There's value probably with Pajot right now. Pajot is the third-line center, but don't look now. This guy's got 5 points and 3 goals in the last 4 games. So J.G. Pajot is riding a bit of a wave right now offensively for the Islanders as well. And then on the Utah side of the equation, you look at their lineup tonight. Peterka's a streaky scorer, and he's starting to find that, touch a little bit lately. He got obviously a goal against his former team, the Buffalo Sabres, in the last game. So maybe you look in that direction as far as a prop involving him. Lawson Krause, someone to keep an eye on too. Lawson Krause, he scored last game for the Utah Mammoth, and you can get pretty good price of almost plus 500 for him to find the back of the net. Horvat's on a 7-game point streak. Barzal is on a 5-game point streak. We have multi-point streaks for Sergachev and Schaefer, the defensemen for their respective teams. Schmaltz, Cooley, and Keller for the Mammoth are all on 2-game point streaks as well entering this game tonight. All right, good stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Like I said, short Friday card, but excited to see how these games transpire, and certainly excited about tomorrow. The Saturday slate is going to be a massive one, noon Eastern. Alex will be back on the show tomorrow. Matt's brother, the other half of the Robinson crew, Ryan, might be with us tomorrow as well. So make sure you tune into that tomorrow. A big Saturday card, and we'll be here to break it down as always. Make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com. Great stable of handicappers. I mean, they are really great handicappers. Trust me, I know many of them. I've seen many of them as far as their work is concerned. And of course, you can find me there, Alex P. Smith there, Matt Robinson there. So make sure you check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. And like I said, it's definitely a terrific stable and roster of handicappers. It's been a good overall run for yours truly on the website. And Matt, talk about your really good NHL run that you're on.
Yeah, I'm rolling at a 28-10 run in NHL specific plays, specific premium plays. So right about 74%. So it's been a hot streak. I mean, it does help that I feel like we've had maybe more overs than general, because I mean, anyone that's watched this show twice knows that, I'm an over better. I like to look at overs. It's either an over or pass for me most of the time. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a good streak. So hoping to continue that into the weekend.
No doubt. And you can find Matt and I both on the video series, the daily video series on the Wizard Sports Picks YouTube channel, Beyond the Lines. I do that daily video on Thursdays and Sundays currently, and you can find Matt doing that video Tuesdays. So make sure you check that out. Beyond the Lines on the Wizard Sports Picks YouTube channel, and check out all the premium picks from all the handicappers daily, wizardsportspicks.com. And make sure you check out patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Again, bonus content, goalie charts, totals charts, power ratings, you name it. Of course, we've got our exclusive live betcast for Patreon members only coming up later this month here in November. Make sure you get on board before that. We'd love to have you join us for the Patreon exclusive live betcast later on this month. And of course, our daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. So make sure you check it out. Just $10 per month. Your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. Sign up and get on board. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys. And of course, the Ice Guys store. Check it out, iceguys.myspreadsshop.com. Great gear, great merch available at the Ice Guys store. So make sure you take advantage of that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we still have that current sale that is on at the moment. Yes, we got 20% off all items for the next 7 days, well, until Monday, the 17th. So make sure you check it out. Until Monday, 20% off all store items for the next 7 days until Monday at the Ice Guys store. So nice little holiday discount if you're looking to get some Christmas Ice Guys merch. So 20% off all items at the Ice Guys store until Monday. Make sure you take advantage of it at iceguys.myspreadsshop.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Kings and queens shop.
Thanks to all our sponsors, including Royal Cannabis. Check them out, royalcannabisshop.com. 20% off with the promo code ICEGUYS. All right, bargain bin special of the night. 3 games left on the docket for this Friday night to choose from. Matt, where are you headed for bargain bin special of the night?
With a pretty minimal card, it's always a little more challenging. You know, we get these 12, 13 game cards. It's pretty easy to find some good angles, but I'm going to roll with the hot hand just because I see he's still in the plus 310 range is what I got him at on MGM. You know, I'm sure there's a site out there with a little bit higher juice, but Logan Stankoven, anytime goal tonight. You know, I like goals in that game. He's a guy that's been pretty hot lately, and he's definitely a guy that can pocket one on any night. So given the small card, I'll stick to what I know, and I'll roll with the Stank.
There you go, the Stank man. Logan Stankoven for the Carolina Hurricanes, for Matt Robinson with his bargain bin special of the night for this Friday. Bargain bin special for me, yes, a couple books do have him north of that plus 300, plus 305 is what I'm seeing. It just makes the cut. Matvei Michkov, Philadelphia, plus 305. I will go with that as, and I'm actually going to add Emil Heineman. I mean, I had him as a bet last night. Not as bargain bin, but as just a goal prop, one of my goal props, and I will use him as a bargain bin tonight. Playing so well, plus 450. The price is still great. So we'll go with those two for bargain bin special of the night. Matvei Michkov, Philadelphia, plus 305, and Emil Heineman, New York Islanders, plus 450 for bargain bin special of the night. Alex B. Smith, you see him in the chat. His bargain bin special of the night, Jackson Blake, Carolina, over 1.5 points, plus 500. And we mentioned, and David is on board with this, of course, our Thursday guest, Canes fan, saying he's had a bunch of chances Puck hasn't always gone in for him, but he's been a factor. He's had his looks, and there's a chance the puck might start to go in for him tonight. So Jackson Blake for Alex, over 1.5 points, plus 500 for his Friday bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this Friday slate. Matt, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, why don't we roll to that game that I mentioned? My bargain bin in between Carolina and Vancouver. I like the over in this game, but I like goals to happen early and often. So I'm going to jump on the first period over in this one. Maybe Vancouver sneaks out a goal, but maybe Carolina goes up 2-0. Doesn't matter as long as we get to 2. So I'll take the first period over in Carolina, Vancouver. That'll be my best bet.
All right, there you go. Vancouver, Carolina, first period over for Matt Robinson with best bet. My best bet is also from that game, but it's going to be the Carolina Hurricanes team total, over 3.5. I think they get 4 goals. We've talked about it. Vancouver has allowed 4+ goals 5 of their last 6 games. They're just not playing great defensively at the moment. Lankinen has not been nearly as sharp this season for the Canucks either. In net, hasn't been able to duplicate that road dominance that we saw last year. So I think Carolina can get to the 4 spot. They're off a loss, and I went back and looked. There's one instance of Carolina off a home loss and playing again at home the next game. And in that game, off a home loss, playing at home again, Carolina won that game 6-2. So they went over their team total, and the game went over as well. So, Carolina team total for me, over 3.5 in this game. The best price with that is -136. Carolina team total over 3.5, -136 for my best bet. And Alex's best bet, it posted it in the chat. It's another draw best bet, and it's a draw I like quite a bit as well. Philadelphia, St. Louis draw +3. It's actually +340 right now at FanDuel. Even better price available. But, Philadelphia, St. Louis draw +340. There you go for Alex B. Smith with his best bet for this Friday card. I think Jonathan's hinting at the fact, too, it's 9-1 Canes over the last 10 in that spot. Home off a home loss, I think, is what Jonathan's referring to with that stat. Pretty sure of it. Yeah. Home off a home loss has been a good spot for overs and a good spot for Carolina to score goals, which they've done. And that's why I like both the over and the team total over for Carolina in that game tonight. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And again, we got a huge Saturday card coming your way on Saturday. I don't know what I was thinking there. Coming your way. Huge Saturday card coming your way. And like I said, I'm just counting it up right now. 13 games tomorrow. We don't have any early games. First game off the board is 5 o'clock Eastern, the Battle of Florida, Tampa Bay, Florida tomorrow. So everything's a late afternoon or evening game tomorrow. So excited about that card and looking forward to breaking it down tomorrow at noon Eastern. And a reminder, we've got our live betcast that's for everybody, available to everybody, open to everybody, free to all. Anyone can join us for it next Tuesday, November 18th, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, our November free-for-all betcast. Next Tuesday, November 18th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you join us for that and tune in as well. Looking forward to that coming up next Tuesday. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, a delayed start on Mondays, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back Saturday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.